Learn and develop your English skills through powerful storytelling. In today's story, follow Emma's journey as she overcomes fear and discovers her true voice. This is more than just a story, it's an opportunity to immerse yourself in real, emotional language while improving your understanding. And if you enjoy inspiring narratives, stay with us. This channel is filled with extraordinary stories designed to help you grow, learn, and connect. Now, let's begin. The Dream I Didn't Believe In. Chapter 1, Notes in the Silence. Emma wiped the last table in the small coffee shop where she worked. It was late, and most of the lights were off, leaving only a warm glow near the counter. Outside, the city was quiet, the streets half empty. She glanced at the clock. Almost midnight. Her shift was finally over. With a deep sigh, she sat on a stool behind the counter and pulled out her old notebook. The pages were filled with scribbled lyrics, some half-finished, others just single words waiting for meaning. She tapped her pen on the paper, hesitating. Music had always been her escape. As a little girl, she used to hum melodies while her mom cooked dinner. Her dad would turn the radio up, nodding to the beat. They loved her singing, but no one in her family knew how to help her become a real singer. Emma closed her eyes and hummed softly, letting the tune form in her mind. Then, without thinking, she began to sing, quietly at first, but with more confidence as the words flowed. "That's beautiful," a deep voice interrupted. Emma jumped, her heart pounding. She turned to see the last customer of the night, a man in his 40s, smiling at her from across the counter. "Sorry," she said, blushing. "I didn't know anyone was still here." "You have a great voice," the man continued. "You should sing in front of people." Emma forced a small smile. She had heard that before. But how? Where? The man took his coffee and left, but his words stayed with her. As she locked up the shop and walked home, she thought about what he said. Could she really do it? Could she step out of the shadows and let people hear her voice? For the first time in a long time, hope flickered inside her. Chapter 2, Love and Fear. Emma pushed open the door to her family's small apartment. The smell of warm spaghetti filled the air, and she heard the soft hum of the TV in the background. Her mom, Lisa, stood by the stove, stirring a pot of sauce. Her dad, Mike, sat at the table, reading the newspaper with a tired look on his face. "You're home late," her mom said, turning with a smile. "Yeah, I had to close up," Emma replied, hanging her jacket on the chair. She sat at the table, her fingers tapping nervously against her knee. She wanted to tell them about what happened at work, the man, his words, the way they made her heart race. But the words stuck in her throat. Her younger sister, Sophie, ran into the kitchen, her curly blonde hair bouncing. "Emma, are you gonna sing for us tonight?" she asked excitedly. Emma chuckled. "Not tonight, kiddo." Sophie pouted, but Lisa smiled. "You really should sing more, sweetheart. You have a gift." Emma hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Actually, someone at the cafe told me I should sing in front of people." Mike looked up from his newspaper. "You should," he said simply. "You've always had something special." Emma blinked. "You really think so?" Her parents exchanged a glance. Of course, Lisa said. We just don't know how it all works. Music, performing. It's a big world, and we don't want you to get lost in it. Mike nodded. We want you to be happy, Emma. But we don't know how to help you. Emma felt a strange mix of warmth and sadness. Her parents believed in her, but they had no idea how to guide her. And neither did she. Lisa wiped her hands on a towel and pulled out her phone. Maybe I can look it up, she said. See what singers do to get started. Emma smiled softly. Thanks, Mom. Her mom squinted at the screen. Okay, so how to be a singer? She scrolled for a moment, then frowned. Auditions, managers, vocal coaches. Oh, this is complicated. Mike sighed. If you need money for lessons or something, we'll figure it out. Emma's chest tightened. She knew they didn't have extra money. Her dad worked construction, and her mom cleaned houses. They worked hard just to pay the bills. I'll figure it out, she said quickly. I don't even know where to start. Sophie tugged on Emma's sleeve. Just start somewhere, she said, as if it were the easiest thing in the world. Emma laughed. Maybe Sophie was right. Chapter 3: A Musician on the Corner. The next afternoon, Emma walked home from work, her mind still tangled with thoughts about music. She needed to start somewhere, but where? As she passed through the city square, a familiar sound caught her attention. A young man sat on a small stool, strumming an old guitar. His voice was rough but full of emotion, rising above the noise of people walking by. A small open guitar case lay at his feet, with a few crumpled bills and coins inside. Emma slowed her steps. Street performers were everywhere in the city, but something about this guy made her stop. He wasn't just playing, he was feeling the music, lost in it, like nothing else mattered. When he finished his song, a few people clapped. Emma hesitated, then stepped forward. That was really good, she said. The musician looked up, brushing his dark hair from his face. He looked about her age, maybe a little older. Thanks, he said with a grin. I take requests. Got a favorite song? Emma shook her head. I sing too. Or I want to. But I don't know where to start. The guy studied her for a moment, then extended his hand. I'm Jake. Emma. Well, Emma, the best way to start is to sing, Jake said, picking up his guitar again. What's stopping you? Emma bit her lip. A lot of things. Jake chuckled. Yeah, I know that feeling. But trust me, you don't need a fancy studio or a record deal. You just need to put yourself out there. Have you ever performed in front of people? Emma hesitated. Not really. Jake's grin widened. Then let's fix that. Sing with me. Right now. Emma's stomach flipped. Right here? In front of everyone? Yep, Jake said. No big deal. It was a big deal. A huge deal. But something about Jake's easy confidence made her want to try. Still, her feet stayed glued to the ground. Jake shrugged. All right. But the first time is always the hardest. The longer you wait, the scarier it gets. Emma knew he was right. But fear still held her back. I'll think about it, she said finally. Jake strummed a few chords. Thinking is good. Singing is better. Emma laughed, but as she walked away, his words stayed with her. Chapter 4, First Try, First Failure. Emma stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror of the cafe. Her heart pounded in her chest. Tonight was the night. Jake had convinced her to try singing at the Rusty Note, a small bar where local musicians performed. It wasn't a big place, just a cozy, dimly lit room with a tiny stage in the corner, but to Emma, it felt as intimidating as a stadium. She had spent the last 3 days practicing, humming softly at work, whispering lyrics under her breath while washing dishes. Her parents had been excited when she told them about the performance, even though they didn't know much about bars or live music. You'll be great, her mom had said, hugging her tightly. Just sing like you do at home, her dad had added. We're proud of you no matter what. But now, standing in the cafe's bathroom, Emma wasn't so sure anymore. Her hands were clammy. Her throat felt dry. What if her voice cracked? What if no one listened? A knock on the door made her jump. Emma? It was Jake. It's almost your turn. She took a deep breath and opened the door. I don't think I can do this, she whispered. Jake gave her a reassuring smile. You can. It's just a song. You sing every day. This is no different. But it was different. It was real. As they walked into the bar, Emma saw a few people talking, drinking, scrolling through their phones. No one was paying attention to the stage. Her stomach tightened. The host called her name. Jake nudged her forward. You got this, he whispered. Emma stepped onto the stage, gripping the microphone with shaky hands. The soft buzz of conversation in the room continued. She cleared her throat, but no one even looked up. She opened her mouth to sing. Nothing came out. Her heart pounded. She tried again. Her voice was stuck. Panic rose in her chest like a wave. Jake gave her an encouraging nod from the side of the stage, but Emma couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. The room suddenly felt too big, the lights too bright. She turned and ran. She pushed past the crowd, out the door, into the cool night air. Her breaths came fast, her vision blurred. She had failed. And she wasn't sure if she would ever try again. Chapter 5, Dad's Gift. Emma sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the floor. Her hands were still trembling. She had run all the way home from the bar, ignoring Jake's calls. Now, wrapped in her hoodie, she felt small, embarrassed. She had been given a chance, and she blew it. A soft knock on the door made her look up. Can I come in? Her dad's voice was gentle. Emma hesitated, then nodded. Mike stepped inside, holding something behind his back. He sat next to her, silent for a moment. I heard about what happened, he finally said. Emma swallowed hard. I couldn't do it, Dad. I got up there, and nothing. I just froze. Mike nodded slowly. You know, when I was younger, I worked with a guy who built houses. He made it look easy. Hammer in one hand, measuring tape in the other, like he was born for it. Me? I could barely hold a nail straight. Emma frowned. What does that have to do with anything? Her dad smiled. The first time I tried to build something, I messed it up so bad the boss laughed at me. Said I should find another job. He leaned forward. But I didn't quit. I kept going. You know what happened? Emma shook her head. I got better. She let out a small, shaky breath. It's not the same. You didn't have a whole room of people watching you fail. No, Mike admitted. But failing in front of one person feels just as bad as failing in front of 100. Emma sighed. She wanted to believe him, but the fear was still there. Then, her dad reached behind his back and pulled out a small box. Here, he said, handing it to her. Emma opened it. Inside was a simple microphone, not fancy, not expensive, but brand new. Dad. Her voice caught in her throat. I don't know much about music, he admitted. But I do know that when you fall, you get back up. You're gonna sing again, Emma. And when you do, you'll have this. Tears stung her eyes. She hugged him tightly. Maybe she could try again. Maybe she would. Chapter 6, The Second Chance. Emma ran her fingers over the microphone her dad had given her. It wasn't fancy, but it was hers, a reminder that someone believed in her, even when she didn't believe in herself. But could she really try again? The memory of freezing on stage still haunted her. The fear of failing again felt heavy. She needed time. For the next few days, she kept the microphone on her nightstand, looking at it every morning when she woke up. She hummed songs while making coffee at work, whispered lyrics while walking home, but she didn't dare sing out loud. Then, one afternoon, as she sat on the couch, her mom and Sophie entered the room. Emma, her mom said gently, sitting beside her. Jake called. Emma's stomach twisted. She had been avoiding him. He asked if you were okay, Lisa continued. And he said there's another open mic night at the bar this weekend. Emma tensed. I don't know, Mom. What if I mess up again? Sophie suddenly grabbed Emma's hand, her big brown eyes serious. What if you don't? Emma opened her mouth, then closed it. Lisa smiled. Your dad and I, we don't know much about this world. But we do know one thing. You have a voice that deserves to be heard. Emma swallowed hard. Could she really do this? Her mom reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Sophie and I made you something. Emma unfolded it. It was a handwritten sign in bright colors. Go, Emma. You are amazing. Emma let out a breathless laugh. Her family wasn't just supporting her. They were pushing her forward. Maybe she could try one more time. She picked up the microphone from her nightstand and ran her thumb over it. Okay, she whispered. I'll do it. Sophie squealed and threw her arms around Emma. Lisa smiled, eyes full of pride. Then we'll be there, cheering for you. For the first time in days, Emma felt something lighter than fear. Hope. Chapter 7: The Competition. The small bar buzzed with conversation and soft music playing in the background. Emma stood near the entrance, her heart pounding. She clutched the microphone her dad had given her. Her family sat near the front, real tickets in their hands, as if this were a big concert. Sophie held up the sign she had made, waving it excitedly. Jake appeared by her side. "You came," he said with a grin. Emma let out a shaky breath. "Yeah, I guess I did." "You ready?" "No," she admitted. "But I'm here." "That's something, right?" Jake nodded. "That's everything." The announcer stepped up to the microphone. "Next up, Emma Carter." A ripple of applause filled the room. Emma's stomach flipped. She walked to the stage, gripping the microphone tightly. The lights felt too bright. The room felt too big. But then, she saw them. Her mom, her dad, Sophie, all watching her with nothing but pride. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and began to sing. At first, her voice wavered. But as the melody carried through the room, she felt something shift. People started to listen. By the time she reached the last note, the room was silent. Then, applause. Loud, real applause. Emma smiled, her chest rising with something she hadn't felt in a long time. She had done it. She had sung. She hadn't won the competition, but in that moment, it didn't matter. Because for the first time, she believed in herself. Chapter 8: The Beginning of Something Bigger. Emma stepped off the stage, her hands still shaking, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from excitement. Jake met her at the bottom of the steps, grinning. "Told you," he said. She let out a breathless laugh. "I can't believe I actually did it." "You didn't just sing," Jake said. "You made everyone feel it." Before she could respond, she felt small arms wrap around her waist. "You were amazing," Sophie squealed, nearly knocking her over. Her parents appeared right behind her, their eyes shining with pride. Lisa cupped Emma's face gently. "I have never seen you shine like that." Mike gave her shoulder a squeeze. "See? You just needed to get back up." Emma swallowed hard, overwhelmed by the love surrounding her. For so long, she had feared stepping into the unknown. She thought she needed a perfect plan, a perfect opportunity. But all she really needed was to start. A few people from the audience approached, offering kind words. Someone even asked if she performed anywhere else. Emma's heart raced at the possibility. She wasn't famous. She wasn't a star. But she was a singer. And this was just the beginning. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories to life. Check out our other videos, you won't want to miss them. See you next time.